when we're showing up to find an unresponsive child on the ground, there's just so many emotions involved. And so not only do we have to have such an intensity around great patient care, but we also have to deal with a potentially chaotic scene. The emotional response to a child falling out of a window is hard to really capture and articulate because it is just so intense.
The hope is that a parent would never have to go through the emotional stress and the emotional trauma of having one of their kids seriously injured. Whether it's a broken bone or there's brain damage, it doesn't matter. You don't want to see your kids hurt in any way at all. Obviously, these are not intentional, but they have massive impact on families and on people's lives.
I knew the danger of it, and I knew that we had a real danger because we have a second-story house. Everything is really, really close together in this neighborhood. I could see what was going on in the grill, conversating with a few adults, and then I could hear what was going on in the room as well. All of a sudden, we hear a thud and a ting. And the ting was, I knew right away that was the screen from her window. But yeah, other than talking to him, I didn't do anything else to prevent it.
Unfortunately, we have the highest rate of window falls in the state. We see window falls at all ages, but really the age group that we think most being at risk is the 2 to 6 group. But as soon as you're starting to move, crawl, walk, climb up on stuff, you are at risk. So you could even say, 1 to 6 with a peak around age 3 to 4.
Average that Mary Bridge sees is around 32 to 34 window falls a year. This has been pretty consistent going back for at least 5 years in the most recent data. But even going further back, it has always been a huge volume of trauma for us.
Falls from windows are especially dangerous for young children because they are curious. That age group that we talked about, they're exploring, they're physically more able, but they don't have the judgment that an older child or adult does. They have these disproportionately large heads, and so when they fall, they have significant trauma to their bodies, and they don't have the judgment really to prevent them from making that choice to go out the window. Window screens are not designed to provide protection from people going out of them. They are designed to keep bugs out, leaves blowing in the wind, but they really are not designed as a preventative measure. They also pop out very easily. So they are not there to keep your child in whatsoever. Simple steps as far as preventing window falls, probably the biggest are window stops, because children can fall out a window that's not even fully open. A window stop keeps a window from opening any further than 4 inches. So having window stops or keeping your windows closed.
The most classic injury we see are head injuries like skull fractures, bleeding inside the brain, and of course, broken limbs. Fortunately, we have very little deaths related to window falls. But that does not mean that the injury, the concussion, that sort of thing isn't profound and can be long-lasting. And this is during the development of a child, right? And so there can be sometimes long-term effects from having a traumatic brain injury in early childhood.
It didn't even register. I was focused on what I was doing. It didn't even register with me. I just sat down after hours of standing up and entertaining and stuff like that. But my wife recognized it right away, and she stood up and just sprinted. I saw Madden on the ground, and I looked up, and there was nothing there, no screen, and the window was open. I kind of just went into work mode. So I started asking the questions to see if she remember what happened. She lost consciousness at all, and then I started just slowly feeling around, starting at her ankles and working my way up, and it was pretty apparent that there was something wrong with her upper leg, her thigh essentially. The first 2 weeks it was pretty hard. I'd have to carry her to the bathroom, get her to stand up on one foot.
I could get around with my walker. By the first few weeks, I was getting pretty fast on it and just zooming around for fun. And I had to stay down here for a while because I couldn't go upstairs unless Dad carried me or something.
I knew they weren't stable, and I talked to all my kids about, windows, hey, don't ever lean outside of it and stuff. And, in her mind, she wasn't leaning outside. She was asking a question, right? But those things don't come in your mind when you're 8 years old, 7 or 8 years old, and so take the precaution. Now Google whatever can go wrong, and then see in your mind what you can mitigate in the process and what you're comfortable with. And some things you might be that's not a concern, some things are.
This is 100% preventable. Anything the community can do to rehearse practicing with their friends and family with a 911 call can potentially save a life because those minutes and seconds matter.
Kids are kids. They have a lot of energy. You can't always keep your eye on them 100% of the time, which is no fault of anybody. It's just the nature of children. And so we want to have that assurance in place that nothing is going to happen on accident. You have the power to secure a window and stop a fall. If you or a member of your family needs a window stop, please visit our website.